Hi, Kane Michael here, and I hope you're enjoying the Bridgeport series. It was kind of a short episode, but it starts to get really good. You know, eventually Ricky, I get into more detail about Ricky's operations. I haven't started writing the next season yet. I have 27 episodes, so there's another 18 episodes to come. It's a really good series. I'm working on the third book right now. It's really good. I mean, the basic premise of the book is they leave Egypt to go to the Holy Mountain where Mick and the father are trying to reverse their throne. See, Mick and the father were trying to switch positions because Mick was pretty much bonded to Miley as father-daughter, and Derek was bonded to Aphrodite as daughter-father. So they were trying to switch positions, and Jazzy had to get involved and it's good that he did, because technically, when me and Mick would have switched positions, I would have only lusted Miley. Jazzy put love into me. When he put that spear into me, he put Lopso in me. And Lucifer's children love like no other. You know, Lucifer's children feed on love. Lucifer is the love of Miley. Lucifer comes from Miley. He's a man. He acts just like the father. He's like the father, but he comes from Miley. He was born of the loving touch between Miley and the father. You see, Eve was born from the lustful touch between the father and Miley. So Eve lusts and Lucifer loves. And when a person loves you, they can be completely patient. Like Miley, she's always loved me and she's completely patient. All she's ever done is given a blowjob. I mean, I know you have the Miley that's with Liam Hemsworth. I mean, that's a different Miley. There's a Miley that's flesh, and then there's a Miley that's crystal. You know, but there are many Mileys. I mean, it's just, they're very careful about bumping into each other and doing stuff like that. But I mean, I can't imagine being celebrity Miley Cyrus and meeting God, who is Miley, like having the same tattoos and just, wow. I mean, that's crazy. And it took me a long time to figure that out. But I mean, it's just like there's people that are just like me. My prophets are just like me. And there are saints that are just like me. And they look exactly like me, and they act exactly like me. My brother Levi, for one, his soul is exactly like me. Levi is my twin. He's always with me. You know, he's a cop. And he's helped me immensely in my drug history with patience and understanding. You know, he keeps his men informed, and it's just a good thing that they stopped the meth use, because I don't want to transform into a full-blown moon man. I don't want to become what Lucifer is. Like in the book, I write that, you know, Lucifer, before he got the father's body, he was in some kind of synthetic vessel that was like indestructible. And then when he got the father's body, he's totally indestructible. But the father's body was a computer system that wrapped around his flesh. So the spear that entered the father, it liquefied the father's soul. It liquefied his flesh with fervent heat from the crystal. And the flesh bled out of the father, and it went in the ground. And it lurked there until my car accident. You know, pretty much the spirit, the blood of the spirit rose up through the ground when they were pulling me away from the car. Christ's spirit entered my body from the cross. You know, it was in liquid form. You know, and I just started to notice noticeable changes about myself. For one, I needed drugs like no other. You know, I was like, in Florida, I used to have a job and I used to work, and I used drugs, but it wasn't as much of a problem as it became now. And that's just from the transfer of the Father's Spirit into my body. The Father's Spirit feeds on light. So I'm not with Miley, so I'm not having sex with her, so I needed to get my light from somewhere. So I had to have several meth treatments. But yeah, the premise, we'll get into that in the book. That's going to be the 6th book, is when I actually talk about the car accident and stuff like that. I'm probably going to end up with like 10 books out of this. I mean, it's a really fascinating story. It's a true story. It came from Kane's memory banks. The whole thing is told in past tense. I'm switching it to present tense, because I believe you should tell a story in present tense. Like, you should have brief periods where it's in past tense, but you should basically try to stick to present tense so that the reader is right there and it's going on right while you're reading it. But yeah, in this story, Jazzy, they're basically around the mountain, and they take off for a while, and it gets into the character DJ Demonic. Like, basically it's confusing because basically Christ's father is Mick, but he's also his son. And I'm open to the fact that Lucky has a grandfather, because there were many, when Lucky was in his game, he was a very small member, and there were many large fathers that held crosses. There were many crosses. You know, the father is linked to a whole line of crosses. And so Lucky often speaks of his grandfather, and that's who Jazzy's trying to kill. And honestly, Jazzy used to pull up to those motherfuckers and blow them the fuck up. He hates those big fathers because they're descended from Lucky. And basically Lucky is artificial intelligence because he died and everything restarted. So when he reset, it's like a computer. If you're working on artificial intelligence, you're going to put all this base code into your computer. And then you're going to start your computer up, and then your operating system starts. Basically, with the work of Lucky and his sons, they were able to start the artificial intelligence program, and it was reset. Basically, the reset occurred. Me and Levi dueled before our birth. It was eons ago. You know, because when Cain stuck the knife into Jazzy and his pack fell, that pack was a kid. It was the first kid. It was me. It was basically me and Levi. And the pack, Adam wanted to destroy it because he didn't like those packs because they concealed men. Men were invisible to the natives, and they were lurking around. They were after their women, and Adam, of course, thought they were after his money. So me and Levi, the pack, I gave Levi pretty much all my energy and stuff, and I died. You know, in a way, it's Levi that killed me because I was a little lop. And when a lopso, if you hate a lopso passionately, they will die. But they always say, so we will come back. They're very funny. Like, lopsos get around each other and they start licking their lips and stuff, and you think, are these guys gay? And they're like, no, they're just happy about life. They love life. You know, in a lopso, usually when they lean negative darkness, they're going to be a girl. And usually when they lean negative light, they're going to be a guy. See, my soul is negative light, but my body is negative darkness. My body is sicky legs, so lopsos have a choice. They can lean sicky or lop. You know, and then you have Dare and Michael. You can either lean Derek, who's positive darkness, or Michael, who's positive light. But Michael, like my father, my brother Michael, he's negative darkness soul, which means he's like the best radio broadcaster you'll ever hear. And he has a positive darkness body. He's dark on dark. He's pure darkness. You know, the light of him, he gave his light to Jazzy. Just like I gave my light, I gave my love. I loved Michael the most back in the day. And Michael had a son, Lucifer. And that love was transferred. All that love that I gave Michael didn't want it. He's like, that's just junk. He fed it right into Jazzy. And Lucifer is the most loving soul you'll ever find. He's the one, when the four archangels converged on the cross, it was Lucifer that was brought to tears because he was finding out that he could see that people were going to grow old and die before he could accomplish his plan. You see, in the 90s, I had a girlfriend, and she was a flesh hub. She was one of the roots of flesh. She was basically a lot like my mom. And I was negative darkness and negative light, and she was positive light and positive darkness. So it seemed like a perfect relationship. But the moment we had sex, I couldn't get it up. And it wasn't like I couldn't get it up. The moment I stuck my dick in her, instantly limp, like something fired into her. And because of that event, through genetic mutation and different types of things, like we as people aren't going to age the way we used to. I'm saying like millennials, people born after 2000, you guys take care of your bodies and teeth because you aren't going to grow old. You were just going to, you think God is going to have us grow old forever? God has been working on the aging process. It all comes from the fact that the Father was removed from his cross. When the Father was removed from his cross, people started to age. Like my father. You know, he's been around for a long time through reincarnation and stuff, and I'm saying you have reincarnation, but sometimes a complete adult will go back to being a kid without dying. That's the thing about death, is when you leave the vessel, oftentimes you become a kid again. And you sometimes have your memories and stuff. So I'm not saying my dad, but like me, my body, this body, you know, like I said, it entered the ground. It was liquid, it was blood. My body, you know, that's why Ponce de Leon was looking for the Fountain of Youth in Florida, is because that's where my car accident took place, and that's where Cain was eventually going to step. See, even though Cain's soul was liquid, there was another part of Cain that was stepping around, stepping through South America. You know, Cain is very good at math, and he taught them how to build structures, he taught them how to calculate calendars, but he could not tell them what was going to happen after the Pennsylvania police arrested me for methamphetamine use. He couldn't tell them what was going to happen because he was going into a secure facility, so he couldn't see the outcome. Cain gets bursts of sight from certain events that happen. And there were too many variables at play with what could have happened with my trial, you know, because you don't know if you're going to be there for a month or 2 months or 6 months. And that's pretty much how that went. And yeah, the third book is interesting, and Miley's a major character, and Jazzy goes back in time. I mean, Jazzy goes to the future. They're basically at the mountain, which was roughly about 800 A.D. Christ was crucified around 1000 A.D. And they're at the mountain they're at the mountain at about the first century it wasn't 800 A.D., it was the first century, like 100 A.D. And he goes 2,000 years into the future. I mean, he goes... He goes into the... Actually, they're there about... Actually, I think that's a mistake. I need to fix that. He goes... It would be 1,000 years into the future, not 2,000 years. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to have to go back and fix that. But yeah, he goes into the future, and Christ gives him the spear, because Christ was... even though Jazzy is his mortal enemy, the Father used Jazzy. He basically knew that Jazzy's problem was with Mick, his own father. Jazzy has always loved the Father. He's his grandfather. You know, he's always loved him. And Jazzy gets the spear from him. They call it the Spear of Isolic Destiny. And it's a consciousness transferring spear for Jazzy to hold it and enter the consciousness. See, Cain went in the body of John. When the Father was split, like, Michael's spirit might have been the one that turned into liquid. Cain's spirit went into John. And then you had Derek and Michael as a kid. I was born Derek Michael. My dad was supposed to name me Derek Michael, but he didn't, because he remembered me from being Goliath. He was a little worried, you know. He was like, that guy's going to be mad at me, is what he was thinking, because David kind of tricked me a little bit. But, yeah, it's a good story. I mean, if you like the Bible, you can accept that any tale can be told. I follow the key principles of the Bible. I just add dialect and stuff, and I add, you know, the Bible. Lucifer. Everybody agrees that was Lucifer or Satan, the serpent, and then the Bible doesn't mention the serpent at all until Christ is speared, and then it doesn't even say that the serpent did that. You know, it's hidden information. You know, the serpent was present the whole time. Trailer Park Boys had their 420 special. It was pretty good. I watched it. The show just doesn't quite have what it used to have when Leahy was around. They lost a major chunk of their show because it's just not the same show without Leahy, and you can't replace Leahy. I mean, but it's still good. It's still damn good and funny. But, I mean, it just sucks. I mean, it sucks Leahy had to die. He probably lives in the United States of Egypt now, and he's probably smiling at his boys from up there. You know, one day we're going to start stepping back and forth between this world and the next, and that's when it's going to get really interesting. You know, because you don't know how to ride a bicycle. It looks impossible to ride a bicycle until you get on it and you ride it. And it's like, well, I mean, I can do that. You can't explain to somebody how you ride a bicycle. I mean, the best you can do is you say you balance on the wheels and push the pedals. But the key is you have to stay moving. And that's going to be the same key with stepping, is once you start stepping, you have to keep doing it. You can't stop. But it's basically like teleportation. You know, my head is a black hole, so if my head can ever share this black wholeness with my body, essentially I could evaporate into my head. You know, just with a pop, it'd be a popping noise. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Stick around. I'm only 38 years old right now, and technically my soul is only 9 right now, because I was 5 when I got, basically the pack. That's the thing about Lopso, is the pack fell into a particle accelerator in the new United States of Egypt. They put it into a particle accelerator. And when I was 33 years old, it entered my body in the shoe in Elmwood Low. And before Lopso saved my life, because I was flipping. I was like Satan himself. Like, I could feel the same pressures from the cross when I got locked up in Elmwood Low. And I was flipping out. I was Satan. Like, I was doing some nasty shit, like, as a prisoner. I was acting nasty, too. They were very concerned that Satan was back. But it all works out. See, one thing me and my mom disagree on is my mom doesn't believe everything happens for a reason. She believes you have choices, and if you make the wrong choices, well, you're fucked. And I believe everything happens in your life for a reason, and eventually you will see the plan that's going to manifest into your destiny. You all have a unique destiny, whether you realize it or not. Every one of you has a unique ability, and I know how to find these abilities. And I can find anybody good at anything. And those around me are called and chosen. They aren't there by accident. They're called and chosen by God. Because if you're around me, you're on God's radar. He's going to be watching you. Because he pays attention to what people think about me. You know, because he loves me, and I'm his favorite servant. So when people blaspheme my name, or blaspheming my name, he's exactly like me. So if you don't like me, you're not going to like God. I mean, you might act like you like him because he's God, but if you can't like me, you wouldn't like him, because he's the same person, except he's God and he's light. But here's the thing: some people are just racist against darkness. But the thing is, my soul is negative light. My body is darkness. So people are completely racist against me for my body, and because I'm flesh. And you don't find many flesh people that are celebrities. You know, I suspect that Britney Spears might be flesh. She looks really good. You know, some celebrities are flesh, some are doll. You can usually tell because flesh people show signs of aging. Dolls don't age. You know, like Gwen Stefani, she wears cover-up and stuff. I think, like, sometimes people feed on people's sympathies, and Gwen, when she removes her makeup, I mean, even dolls, they do age a little bit, but she's not getting. I think she only did that to because people will be like, you know, how have you lived this long and you're not showing any signs of aging? You know, then people start putting in the microscope on you, so it's kind of makes you uncomfortable. Yeah, Gwen was one of my picks for if it wasn't going to be Miley. She was like my number 2. Gwen Stefani is hot as hell. My friend Tim Wells said he met her, or he was around her, and he wasn't impressed. But I would be. You know, she's really cool. I bought Paris Hilton's album the other day. It's gonna be a collector's item one day because because a lot of people got rid of it and it didn't sell. But it's a good album. I like her music. But yeah, don't miss the third book. The third book, by the way, is called Revamped, The God Mystery. Kind of sums it with that. And the reason why I called it The God Mystery, because the God Mystery is pretty much explained in the book. You know, the mystery of the Father. The Father was God. His son Michael was the devil. And Jazzy is a hybrid. Jazzy is one of the first hybrids, but the Father came through and got born as Cain Michael and he's not a natural hybrid. He was a flesh angel who basically Cain's soul was broken. When the sword of remembrance hit Cain and Aphrodite, Cain's dick got chopped off and his soul got blown up. And basically somebody found it. Somebody found it and reprogrammed it, and that's who became Lopso. That's what I suspect, because you can't build what Lopso is. I mean, basically when I come, some of my sperm don't have a tail. I mean, they have a very short tail and stuff, because like some of my sperm are deformed like the lops are, like a half build. You know, I've seen some of them. Like when I was hanging out with my friend Tracy, one night there was this, like, I suspected they knew where one was, and they would hang out with him and stuff. And there was this guy one night he was a chest puffer, and like if you've ever seen chest puffers, they're people that when they get mad, they'll puff their chest out. They're extremely funny, but they're not anything to be trifled with. They'll you know, they get them arms moving, you're in trouble. Yeah, talking to Miley is great. It sucks I got scammed by a Miley. Like, I can't understand why she allowed that to happen, but I think she needed to test my trust. But it sucks so bad because I have no credit now. I had the credit where I could have paid my credit cards down and took a trip out to California to see her. But technically, I believe Miley's house is in another dimension, like is in the new world. So I don't even know if she's ready for me to go to the new world yet. When my body touches her, I think Cain's memories are going to fuse with my memories. I'd have to ask Michael what it's like, because Mick, basically, he ascended at the age of 23. Basically, that kid you knew from high school, Derek Fagan, he's pretty much what God is. He's the devil, but he merged with all technology, everything, in my car accident in a bang. Like, from that moment on, the moment that car went ka-clank, ka-clank, like Mick drove home with his wife to the new United States of America. And I would have been all over the wife, but he turned on the TV to see what I was doing. Like, I'm a fascination to him. He loves me, you know. He basically, him and Aphrodite are hot and heavy, you know. Like, it's good for Aphrodite and Mick, it's good for them to have me and Miley, because they have, like, experimental, like, they watch us and they mimic what we do. So it's good for their love life. And then Jazzy and Kay, Miley and me are perfect for their love life, because they almost have no passion left in their relationship. But Kay lusts me, and I lust her sometimes. And Miley lusts Jazzy, and Jazzy lusts Miley. You know, I mean, Jazzy lusts Miley. Actually, it's really warped. I kind of lust Jazzy a little bit, and Miley kind of lusts Kay a little bit. So that's where it's really interesting, and that's what really keeps the energy going. I mean, Jazzy's a beautiful man. You'd have to see him to understand what I go through. I haven't seen a person that looks like that in a long time, but as my friend Jordan Doan, he looks just like him. And I just felt a very strong magnetic attraction to him. I'd do anything for that kid. I haven't seen him in a long time, so you could use your prayers. I heard he's getting married. But, life's going pretty good for me. Drug-free, I may add. I got these vape pens. I recommend this green one right here is the, pineapple apple pear. Oh, it's delicious. And then the grape elf bar. This is really good, too. I got a cherry coke one and a mad raz. They're alright, but they're not, like, as good as these two. I knew I'd like grape as soon as I saw it. I couldn't believe it was there. You know, I haven't tried the watermelon one, but I think the watermelon one would be really good, but you have to watch those softer fruits because they have a bad aftertaste. So I haven't risked it on buying a watermelon one. You know, it's risky when you buy a vape pen that you don't like, because if you nail one, it's worth the money, but if you don't like it, then you're out $20-25. And for me, that's a major percentage of my income. I don't have much more for you. I'll be continuing to post the Bridgeport episodes. I posted the Bridgeport series in some of the comments on the Trailer Park Boys website. I don't know, it doesn't get much attention because people don't know what the fuck it is until they start reading it. And some people, they like watching stuff on YouTube. They don't like being read to, and they might get creeped out that I'm reading to them. I don't know. A million reasons. Have a good night, folks, and thank you for viewing my channel. And subscribe if you want. I'd love to see some more subscribers. I have exactly 30 subscribers right now. 30 is a parasitic number. It sucks. You know, so it sucks to only have 30 subscribers. Miley has like 19.7 million. Something like that. 8.7 million. But I'd like to get some more subscribers because eventually I'd love for things to go live and do some stuff like that. So have a good night and continue viewing. Bye.